All right, y'all. I am here to tell you that the men are not okay.
Okay.
So I went on a date with this guy on Friday,
Mm-hmm.
and y'all, let me tell you about this date. So he got tickets to a comedy show,
Okay.
and he picked me up around 8 o'clock. Cool. We get to the comedy show. We're there about an hour early, and he says he's hungry, and we're right across the street from a taco spot. So he's like, "Let's go get tacos." I'm like, "Cool." Now, mind you, to give you a little context, um, he bought the comedy show tickets. They were
Right.
$25 each. So he paid for that. We get to the taco spot. I wasn't that hungry. So he ordered three tacos and I ordered one because I wasn't very hungry. So we get the tacos and we sit down at the table and, we're just chatting, just talking, whatever.
Right.
And he has two cups in his hands that the cashier had given him. And he's like, "Oh, let's go get some drinks. Let's go get our drinks." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Do you actually mind just grabbing me a water?" And y'all, after I asked him if he could grab me a water, his face completely changed. His energy completely changed. And I said to him, I was like, "Are you okay? Like, is something wrong? Like, what's happening here?" And he he pushes the cups towards me and he goes, "Why don't you go get us some water?" And again, I'm hella confused. I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, I'm just like, I mean, sure, I can go get some water, but I'm confused. Like, am I missing something? Like, I'm genuinely confused.
Right.
And he goes, "Why don't both of us go get drinks?" And I'm like, "Okay." Like, I'm again genuinely confused. I have no idea why this is happening, but we get up, we go get water, or we go get drinks, and we sit back down at the booth. So we get to the booth, and this man says, "I have a question for you. Are you the kind of woman that is going to, serve your man?" I said, "What?" He said, "Are you the kind of woman that caters to your man? Is that something that you do?"
Obviously not. Guys, listen, I want your honest opinions down below. Everybody's honest opinions down below. We're about to get into this one because I think this one's a really, really good subject. Welcome to the Coffee Pod. My name is Chisha Zed.
And I said to him, why are you asking me this question? I'm confused. Why are you asking me this question? Did I miss something? And then he goes, "Well, I'm treating you to the state. Like, I bought us the comedy show tickets. I paid for the tacos." And again, mind you, y'all, he got three tacos and I got one. He said, "I paid for the tacos. I'm treating you. And it just feels like you haven't really contributed anything to the state." And he goes on to talk about how he was offended that I asked him to grab me a water. Y'all, I started seeing black. I started seeing black. I started seeing black. I said, "This is not real life." Y'all, when this man was done telling me what was in his heart and crashing out, I said, "Are you finished?" And he said, "Yes." I picked up my purse and I walked out. I got an Uber and I went home.
Okay. So by now, I'm sure you guys have already given your opinions or you're starting to give your opinions down below. I'm going to check those comments out because I'm curious. All right. So, first things first, when I hear a guy ask the type of questions like that guy asked of, "Hey, are you the type of woman to do this?" Or, "Hey, do you cook?" That's the type of man who's looking for a more long term type relationship, which may or may not result in a marriage. Because a guy who's just trying to hit would typically not ask those type of questions. He's just gonna, watch you, peep you, then get the cheeks and then move on, right? So let's get that out of the way here. If we're looking for healthy relationships, I typically would encourage any man or any guy who reaches out to me for advice and say, "Hey, you want to avoid being emotional on a date or causing unnecessary problems." But I don't think that's what this was right here. See this from the guy's perspective real quick. He comes and picks you up from your house for the date. Because she didn't really acknowledge that part. That does not happen much anymore. Picks you up from the date. That is a very gentleman-like gesture. Women want gentlemen, right? At least that's what they say they want. Picks you up from the date. He sets a date and plans a date Sounds like you guys showed up early. He's on time a little bit earlier. And then he improvises and say, hey, why don't we grab some food while we wait for the comedy show? And you agree. He goes and decides to go to the taco shop where he takes on the responsibility of the bill. At this point, this is the part where she talked about, I didn't really get the same amount of tacos you did. I don't know what you're complaining about. It's not about the money. It's about the gesture of kindness. They sit down together and he says, hey, let's go get our drinks. And she responds and says, could you just grab me a water? And this video had 1 million likes with a bunch of other chicks who are sitting there going, I don't see what the problem is. These chicks are lost. They do not understand, or neither do they think that they have to sell themselves on a date. They don't think they have to return the favor. Chicks today don't pay attention. A woman who's wise will look at that situation and she will know the type of man she's dealing with. You get a vibe of the type of guy this is. Hey, if I really like this guy, I'm going to take the initiative to maybe serve him. I'll go get the waters and bring the waters to us to show that, like, hey, here's something I'm doing if I really like this guy to contribute to some way in the situation. But I think there's so many chicks out there who think that you're supposed to show up and not do anything on that date. And guys notice that. They notice that because they've also experienced the type of woman who goes out of her way to contribute in some way, shape, or form. There's also another conversation here that could be had of maybe she just didn't like the guy that much. Because when a woman really likes a guy, she's doing little things. You know, she does little things. She might fix your silverware while she's having a good time. She sees you reaching for the water and she says, let me get that. There you go. Right? Or she's just one of these hyper feminist, modern minded chicks, along with the women who liked that post, who just don't get it. They just don't see why he would, in that situation, ask, hey, what type of woman are you? It kind of reminds me of the chick who was asked if she cooked on a date, or was like a FaceTime or something like that. And she went online to talk about how she was disrespected by that question. How are you disrespected by that question? Yes, there are men out here who want women to serve and cater to them. Yes, there are men out here who embrace those values. Are they allowed to? Are men allowed to embrace those values? They are. Of course they are. And you're allowed to look and say, okay, this isn't vibing with me. It doesn't mean that he's off or there's something wrong with him. I think this situation ended up the best way it possibly could. Here's the last video I released on something that was around this topic that was titled, I make too much money to cook and clean for a man. I'm not a slave. Check it out.
Quick story time. So me and this man matched on the apps. His approach was pretty good. He had good banter, which is usually a problem for these people called men. However, in the middle of the chat, we're chatting and he goes,
starting off with some shots against men. I don't know. It's not looking good.
Can you cook? Which we all know is a red flag. And I
asking if you can cook is a red flag. Guys, I hope you're following. If a woman says asking if a woman says asking if she can cook is a red flag, you might want to pay close attention to whatever comes out of her mouth after that.
Answer, of course I can cook. I'm a competent adult. I hope you can too. That's such an odd question. And then he kind of ignores it and goes on to say, oh, can we FaceTime to just like pre-meet, which I love because I'm not leaving the house for somebody that I don't know who might be crazy, because 99% of the time they're not well. So we get on FaceTime and it's pretty clear. Where are you from? What do you do? You're a professional woman. So then he delves straight into it. Oh, like, you know, what happened to your previous relationship? And I'm like, and I'm not about to bash anybody because they're not worth bashing. So I'm like, yeah, you know, the last situation didn't work out. We were not compatible. And he's like, oh, what do you mean you weren't compatible? And I'm like, so he asked me like, what's something I don't like in a relationship and dating? And I said, I don't like when a guy's unreliable. Like being unreliable is one of my top pet peeves. And randomly, you know, he asked me, oh, what does unreliable mean to you? And I said, like, you plan, you know, we're supposed to go on a date and you cancel. I don't like that. He now looks at me and he goes, so are you a feminist? I said, is it a trick question? What does feminism have to do with my preferences in dating? But
See, this man didn't even need to know more about her. It was not a trick question. He just could feel the energy. We know what a feminist feels like. Can you guys feel that? Can you feel that masculinity coming from the screen? Let's keep watching.
I already knew it was a red flag. I was like, why is he trying to ask me if I support the rights of women? Why? So I said, I don't understand. What 1 + 1 is 2. So how did we get here? Like, why are you asking me? What does me having preferences in dating have to do with feminism? Like, where are you? What's this connection?
He doesn't want to date a feminist like you.
And he's gonna answer, well, these days women expect men to be more effeminate and they don't allow men to be men. So maybe your expectations of him were really for women and shouldn't be for a man. And then he goes, so then I asked him, I was like, so you're into gender roles? And he's like, yeah, I think a man should be a provider. And, for me, I'm going to be a provider. I don't expect my wife to tell me to cook or to clean toilets. So I said, you're supposed to be a competent adult. Right now, I assume you do your own dishes and clean toilet. You meet me, a professional woman who's making her own money.
Making her own money. There we go.
At my level, I don't even wash toilets. I outsource that. So you expect a woman of my caliber to date you.
Here we go.
And then downgrade my life and become...
And the accent's coming out. And the accent. See, guys, give a woman a little bit of money, she'll turn into a worse version of a man with money.
Toilet cleaner. So he now said, but if men have to participate in domestic chores, what's the benefit to men? So I said, I now told him, I said, every time people get into this topics about, clean.
So you guys can go check out that video yourself. It's called I Make Too Much Money, again, to cook and clean for a man. I'm not a slave. What I wish I actually addressed in that video that I address more now is I definitely think any man who says he will not clean or cook, you're being ridiculous, right? You're going to have to help your wife. I help my wife. A woman can take on the majority of that responsibility, and when she needs your help, you can help her. I think there are more men who fit into that particular category. But anyways, gentlemen, you're allowed to choose the values that you will uphold in this life. The good news is there are chicks out there, though few, they do exist, who also are looking for that type of dynamic. Don't let the feminists make you feel crazy and the pandering podcasts that sit there and act like this is so crazy and can't accept that there are men out here who value those dynamics. The only good thing I see coming out of that first video that we just looked at is they make it so easy for men to spot a woman who's not like that, who doesn't have a modern mentality, because it's so rare and a woman can really win so easily by just doing little things. If she would have said, you know what, let me go get us some water, and gone to go get the water, just little things, offering to pay for the date. The offer is nice, even though he's probably gonna be like, no, I got it. But they'll never do that. Why? Because they think they are above that. Or just being kind in general. This is why I say no woman deserves any man's protection unless if it's earned. Because if you turn around and ask these chicks, do you owe a man anything? They will tell you no. We literally have videos of these chicks arguing about why they don't even owe a man a smile. That's about it, guys. Of course, I'm curious to know what you think. Leave your comments down below. And of course, to my soon-to-be married and engaged men, head over to fathershaverights.com and get free information, legal information from expert attorneys on protecting yourself legally via prenuptial agreement. And if you are already married and a father, consider joining Brew Brothers to connect with other married men who drink coffee and fathers who are intentional about being in their children's lives. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.